Good morning, everybody. We're going to continue our study of adding and subtracting fractions today by looking at some word problems. Okay, we're going to solve these word problems, but before we do, we need to look at the language and decide, is this asking us to add or subtract? So we're going to do a few together, and then you'll do one on your own for the problem of the day. So here we go. Here's question number one. So I'm going to get my highlighter out so that I can highlight anything that we might think is important. So here we go. Jane and her family are driving to Big Lagoon State Park. On the first day, they travel 1/3 of the total distance. On the second day, they travel 1/3 of the total distance in the morning, and then 1/6 of the total distance in the afternoon. How much of the total distance has Jane's family driven by the end of the second day? So let's see. They are traveling over 2 days. We got 1/3 of the total distance, and then 1/3, and then another 6. So what are we doing here? We're obviously adding because it says how much of the total distance has she driven by the end of the second day. What's the total? So in this case, we're actually adding three different fractions up, right? We've got 1/3 that they traveled on the first day, plus another third that they traveled on the morning of the second day, and then another sixth. So 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/6. So this seems complicated at first, but I think when we list out our multiples, you're going to find that it's pretty simple to find a common denominator. So first, we got 1/3, 1/3, and 1/6. We can't add these together until we have a common denominator. So first, let's list out the multiples of 3. What do we got? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Stretch this out a little bit. And then what are the factors of 6? We've got 6, 12, 18. So what's my common factor? My common factor, it looks like, is 6. Or sorry, my common multiple, right? That's the multiple they both have in common, which means that's going to be my common denominator, right? So I'm going to have, something sixths plus something sixths plus something sixths, right? Sixth, sixth, sixth. So now, how did we get from, here's my next question, how did we get from 3 to 6? What did we multiply by? Well, we multiplied by 2, right? Whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do the top. What's 1 times 2 is 2. Same here. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2, and this should be a 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And then how'd you get from 6 to 6? Well, there's no change, right? So no change to the top. Okay, so now we can add 2 plus 2 plus 1 equals 5. And the denominator, remember, stays the same, 5/6. All right, let's move on to another one. Okay, switch back to my highlighter. Let's highlight some important words. Paula spent 3/8, so I guess I'll highlight that. She spent 3/8 of her allowance on clothes and 1/6 on entertainment. What fraction of her allowance did she spend on other items? So we know that she spent 3/8 and she spent 1/6, right? So we're gonna have to subtract because we want to know how much she spent on the other things. So really what we're looking for here is, what did she start with? She started with 1 whole, right? She started with a whole. She's going to subtract 3/8, and then she's also going to subtract another 1/6. Okay, so 1 whole minus 3/8 minus 6/6. So we're going to have to, let's deal with this whole after, but first let's find a common denominator. So now I'm subtracting because I want to know how much she spent on other things, right? She spent this on allowance, this on entertainment. What's left over for her to spend on other things, right? So what are the common multiples? Let's see, 8, 16, 24. And what are the multiples of 6? 6, 12, 18. Okay, so looks like the common multiple is 18, right? So that's going to be my common denominator. So let's see, it's going to be something Oh, wait, it's not 18. What am I talking about? I got to keep going. 18, 24. Oops, sorry. 6, 12, 18, 24. So actually, my common denominator is going to be 24, right? Okay. So I've got something 24ths minus something 24ths. And then what about that whole? What am I going to call this? How am I going to subtract that? Well, one whole is actually the same thing as 24 24ths, right? 24 out of 24 is one whole. So that's what she's got all together. And then she spent something 24ths on clothes and something 24ths on entertainment. So how would we go from 8 to 24? 8 times 3 is 24. So 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 4 is 24. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, so let's start subtracting. What's 24? So now I got common denominator all the way around. What's 24 minus 9? Well, 24 minus 9 is, let's see, 24 minus 9. 24 is 15, right? So 24 minus 9 is 15. So here I have 15 24ths. 15, sorry. 15 24ths, right? So that's this part. 24 24ths minus 9 24ths is 15 24ths. And now let's just subtract the other 4 24ths. 15 minus 4 is 11, and the denominator is 24ths. Okay, so I started with my whole, which I turned into 24 24ths to stick with my common denominator, right? And then I just subtracted 24 24ths. Let's do one more together. All right, the results of an election are shown in the table. We got the different candidates. We got the fraction of votes. What's the difference? Ooh, that's a good word. What's the difference between the fractions of votes received by Dragovich and Johnson? So when we're talking about the difference, we are subtracting. So the difference between Dragovich and Johnson. Dragovich got half of the votes, and Johnson got a ninth of the votes. So I need to subtract these two, okay? What is the common denominator? The common denominator in this case is 18, right? 9 times 2 is 18. 2 times 9 is 18. That's the smallest common denominator. So let's make our numerator. 2 times 9 is 18, right? And 1 times 9 is 9. How do we get from 9 to 18? 9 times 2 is 18. 1 times 2 is 2. 9 minus 2 is 7. 18. Okay. So I knew to subtract because it's talking about the difference. I just picked Dragovich and Johnson. I subtracted them. All right. Last one. I want you to do this one on your own. This is the problem of the day. Mary had 3/4 cups of flour. She used 1/12 of the flour for cookies. What fraction did she have left after making the cookies? So first decide, is this subtraction or addition? Then go ahead and either add or subtract, where she had 3/4 cup of flour, she used 1/12. What did she have left? That's your key word. This is also a key word, okay? Make sure you have that problem ready during your teacher center.